Dan Illman, Mike Beer, the feature race at Saratoga on Sunday is race number 9. It's the $85,000 Alydar Stakes. Some nice horses going a mile and an eighth. Before we get to the horse-by-horse analysis, head on over to drf.com/spa for the Saratoga handicapping shop. PPs, picks, clocker reports, betting strategies, and all the must-have tools to win big at Saratoga. Here's the field for the Alydar. It's not a big field, but there are some nice horses in here, led by the morning line favorite Endorsed, who's getting some class relief, Mike. Nova Comer's a Code of Honors in here.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of class relief here, as is the number 6, Tenfold, who's dropping out of a bunch of graded stakes races. I mean, for $85,000, Dan, they got a pretty good field together for this race.
Those horses have a good amount of class. The 5, Bodie Express, has some speed, as does the 4, It's All Relevant. But I think if Bodie Express actually decides to go into the gate, as we look at the Timeform US pace projector, that's always an issue for Bodie Express. He's rambunctious and a handful behind the stalls. I think if he goes in the gate, he's going to be leaving running, and he's going to try to take these flag fall to finish.
Yeah, he's a super dangerous horse in this race, I think, if and it's always a big if with him, but if he behaves himself, he's really, really dangerous in here. It's All Relevant. The 4 is a speed horse. He is not as fast as Bodie Express. And if Bodie Express shows up and runs his race in here, it makes it almost impossible for It's All Relevant to win.
Endorsed is simply the horse to beat, though. Is second in the Westchester, 2 starts back behind Code of Honor. Was a really, really good performance. I like the way Joel Rosario rode him that day. He was very, very aggressive, making a mid-move to try to take over and take the race to Code of Honor, and Code of Honor was just better. It looked like he was moving real sweetly on the turn of the Met Mile, Mike, and Vacoma, who just had his own pace up front, was able to sprint away. To me, that Met Mile was run more like a turf race this year and in years past.
It didn't have a fast pace, certainly for that kind of race. It didn't. And listen, I don't think you could argue that Endorsed was compromised by the way the race was run. He had his chance at it, and he wasn't good enough to go with those horses. He was no match for the Met Mile horses. But he ran really well in the Westchester. I thought he acquitted himself pretty well in the Travers last year. He has shown that he can get a distance of ground. He's got a great post in here with Rosario. There's just a lot of things adding up to making him, the horse to beat in this race.
Backside of the Moon has run some solid races in the past. He's always been sort of a cut below true stakes competition, but he's going second off the layoff after facing an okay horse in Complexity last time out, chasing that one in vain. Backside of the Moon would really benefit if It's All Relevant and Bodie Express hook things up. That being said, he's probably more of a minor award candidate.
Yeah, I looked at him that way too. I would use him underneath somewhere. I just don't think he's good enough to win this race, but he will get the distance and he'll be running at the end.
Another horse that should be able to get the trip is Spin Off, the number 3. Just missed 2 starts back in the Sunday Silence. He was the beaten favorite that day. They ran him last time out at Belmont. He ran in that Complexity race. He didn't run very well. He's just been an in and outer throughout his career.
Yeah, I just don't really know where he is at this stage of the game, Dan. Early on as a younger horse, I thought he was pretty good. He earned his way into the Derby and the Belmont last year without doing much in those races. He did win over this course and distance last summer when they dropped him in class before the layoff. But since he's come back, I don't know. He just hasn't really run that well in any one of his 3 races since they've started back with him. Pletcher's doing great work right now. His horses are all running. Maybe this horse will improve again. I don't like his recent form.
It's All Relevant steps back up into the graded stakes ranks. He was actually 3rd in the Mind Your Biscuits Amsterdam back in 2018. He's been on fire lately. He's won 3 out of his last 4. Let's watch his race at Belmont. Entered for a 62,500 tag. He went right to the front. The race is over right now. It's just a matter of how far he's going to win by. He will win by 3. His buyer speed figures recently have been good. He's also been able to control the pace in his last 2 races, and that's just not going to happen here.
Yeah, I mean, that's the real problem for this horse, who is on a pretty good roll right now. And many of his recent wins, though, just in complete control of the pace or facing horses who just aren't very good, or sometimes both of those things. He's really been taking advantage lately, Dan. And with Bodie Express in this race, there's just no way he can get the trip that he needs to be effective against horses like this.
Let's watch the Speedy Bodie Express as the beaten favorite in the Grade 3 House Hope. And I guess you could look at this one of two ways. He just either A, went simply too fast in the early portion of the race and he's on fumes right about now, or B, he has a clear lead in the stretch and here comes 60-1 Identifier and here comes 24-1 Just Whistle, and Bodie Express shouldn't be able to lose to these two horses no matter the pace situation.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways it was a disappointing loss. I mean, that was a race that, they went pretty fast early. It really did fall apart late. I don't want to be too hard on him for it. It's still a race I would have preferred that he had won. He has talent. He has a lot of speed, Dan. If he goes into the gate, behaves himself, and breaks running, I think he'd actually be pretty tough to catch in this race.
The horse that finished directly ahead of him, Just Whistle, did come back to beat Spinoff in the Sunday Silence with a 95 buyer. Tenfold completes the field, certainly graded stakes class. He won the Jim Dandy in 2018. He won the Pimlico Special last year. And last time out, he was just overmatched against Improbable in the Hollywood Gold Cup. Of course, Improbable won the Whitney here with a 106 buyer. In his prior race, he was in against By My Standards, Mucho Gusto before that. He is getting the needed class relief, and he should get a fair pace to run at.
Yeah, I mean, he more than anyone is really hoping that Bodie Express makes it into the gate this time and then comes out of there blazing on the lead, because this horse needs a pace in front of him to come running at the end. To me, he ultimately hasn't really panned out. I mean, early on as a 3-year-old, this horse came a long way in a very short amount of time. But since he won the Jim Dandy as a 3-year-old, he really hasn't done that much. I mean, he's run fine against some better horses, but he hasn't really accomplished all that much. If they go fast, I'll expect him to run at the end, Dan, but I like other horses in here.
Top pick time for the Alydar Stakes, the feature race at the Spa on Sunday. We're both going with endorsed. I just think he's going to get the right trip in here. I think the two speeds are going to go. I think he's going to be sitting in mid-pack in either third or fourth, and he's going to get the jump on a horse like Tenfold turning for home.
Yeah, that's kind of how I looked at it too. I know he's short price, but I'm going to take him on top. I really only wanted the 1 and the 5 in here.
1562 for Mike, 1456 for me. Feature race at the Spa is the Alydar. Race number 9 is an approximate post 5:50 Eastern. Best of luck.